Over the next 3 days, I'm going to be going on 3 separate tours to check out Northern Ireland, learning more about the history, topography, culture, and beauty that makes this little countryside so unique. Join me as I walk along the giants, get lost in dark hedges, listen to traditional music, marvel at the grandness of castles, and try to understand what makes this country so amazing. Today I booked an 8-hour tour that's going to take me along the scenic roads of Northern Ireland, up to the Giant's Causeway, along a bunch of castles, and a couple of Game of Thrones filming locations. Now, I'm not a fan of Game of Thrones. I haven't seen any of them, so that really doesn't mean a whole lot to me, but regardless, it's going to be beautiful. First stop of the day is the Carrickfergus Castle, and it was built in, I think, late 12th century in 1177 AD by the Anglo-Normans, and they're like the ones that built like all the castles, and it's beautiful. I can't go inside, but it is literally right on the coast. Like most historical structures in Europe, this castle has been used by many different countries and peoples over the centuries, including the Scottish, the French, the English, the Irish, and now it's a beautiful piece of history. It's a little bit rainy, a little bit cold, a little bit misty today, but it's perfect. I like visiting places where the weather is like stereotypical and kind of what I've grown to expect, and having a nice little like rainy day, although there's going to be a lot of rain coming while I'm exploring Northern Ireland, perfect. It's crazy to think, like standing at the base of this castle, like how impenetrable it looks, and how crazy the people must have been to think that they could take it, like horses and like cannons, arrows. Wow. So the whole point of this tour is to come here to the UNESCO World Heritage Site of the Giant's Causeway. So on our way up here, our guide told us kind of the tall tale behind Giant's Causeway. He said, once upon a time, there was a 50-foot giant that lived in Northern Ireland, and he wanted to expand his territory. So he built the causeway to get himself to Scotland. What he didn't realize was that there was another giant in Scotland who was bigger than he was. And so he fled back to Northern Ireland. But the Scottish giant heard about him and decided that he didn't want another giant competing for his territory. So he used the same causeway to come back to Ireland, find this giant. What he didn't realize was that Irish giant's wife devised this plan where he would disguise himself as a baby, so that when the Scottish giant came over and he tried to find this giant, he saw this baby the size of the giant and thought, oh my gosh, if the baby is this big, I don't want to run into his dad. So he took off and destroyed most of the causeway. So what we have left is the like remnants of this initial causeway connecting Northern Ireland and Scotland by a giant, hence Giant's Causeway. I've done the trail to take 160 stairs down, and apparently these are called shepherd stairs or shepherd steps because they're narrow and tall, but I guess I've been training since Southeast Asia for this. Definitely not as bad as I was thinking. I mean, it is wet and my feet are disgustingly muddy right now, but that's why I wear my Tevas. As we were getting ready to go, our guide was talking about different paths that we could ramble on and become a rambler if we're not a hiker. And I was like, oh, I identify as a rambler. And literally all I can think about is the Led Zeppelin song Ramble On. I might have to listen to it in a little bit, but right now I'd rather listen to the ocean. This pathway to the Giant's Causeway is very long. I'm just gonna teleport there. These are the famous dark hedges, and they were featured in Game of Thrones, the end of season 2, episode 1 for 8 seconds. I only know that because our tour guide said it. I don't watch Game of Thrones. He said in the last 10 years this has become a tourist hotspot, and I can see why. It's so beautiful. Hundreds of years ago, the wealthy landowner at the time, James Stewart, planted 150 of these trees. And over time, a lot of them have died off and fallen over and been removed and things, so there's only about half of those left. They have grown longer than their expected lifespan, and they have really short roots, so they do topple over with storms and disease and stuff like that. This was originally a walkway that led up to the wealthy landowner's home because he wanted to like have this grand first impression and like kind of put everybody in awe, put everybody in their place when they came to visit him. Seems a little much, but I'm grateful. And now, back to Belfast. One of my favorite ways to get to know a city is to go on a walking tour, whether that's a food tour, like a free city walking tour, or a bike tour. Something that gets you on the ground in the city with a local that can explain the significance about the buildings, the statues, can answer questions about pretty much anything to do with the area. So today, I'm going on a free walking tour. So that building used to be part of the university, but about 15 years ago, the university pulled out of that building. Now that is student housing. Student housing in that kind of like historic building. That would never fly in the States, but that is just the coolest thing ever.
time we get to the 1880s, the largest production of linen and rope in the world is right.
So our guide has a really unique take on a lot of these historical buildings. A couple decades ago, the IRA, the Irish Republican Army, bombed the Opera House, and 2 days after the bomb went off, our guide was trying to get down the street and he could see all the debris that was everywhere. And then the building next to it, the Europa Hotel, is often referred to as the most bombed hotel in the world. It's been bombed 33 different times during the Troubles. I love visiting places like this where tourism is relatively new. Our tour guide, who is born and raised in Belfast, said that up until about, just before the pandemic, people didn't come to Belfast. There was no tourism here. And so with the influx of international tourists and cruise ships, it's been able to generate not only money but jobs, especially for like the younger generation, which is amazing. Another free walking tour in the books. I love Belfast. I love that it's so complex, it's so unique. A lot of the things that you've seen in the news are still so real and relevant. And I love these kinds of tours that are led by somebody who's lived in the area, who knows what they're talking about. So instead of saying like, the people of Belfast, our guide was saying things like, I remember when I saw this, or I heard this, or I was involved in this. And I'm like, this is just so amazing. So a free walking tour, if you're not familiar with it, is a walking tour of the city led by a local guide. It is free. You are expected to give some kind of a tip at the end. It's really just up to your discretion. My go-to is usually about $10, give or take. Sometimes I do tip more, sometimes I have tip less, just depending on how well you think the tour was or how engaging and informative your guide was. So much fun. My feet are killing me, but I have one more fun tour of Belfast, and I think I've saved the best for last. So I'm in Belfast for my last tour. Is going to be something a little bit different. Now, I am in new cities all the time. I'm always checking out new places, and I like to switch it up. I don't always like to do just city tours or just the same kind of tours. So today I'm doing something a little bit different. It's a little windy, so a lot of this might be dubbed over, but I am going to do a traditional music tour led by local musicians. So we're in our first venue, and we're gonna be here for about I have to say it like an American, an hour. The instrument that he's gonna be playing looks insane. It looks like a really like pimped up like bassoon, but it sounds kind of similar to bagpipes. But I know it's a traditional Irish instrument.
Hopefully you're not disappointed now.
To join in, or am I going to put it?